Hey everybody, Raziel here, coming back at you with another Smite God build for the Xbox One, or any platform for that matter. Now, with the holidays and everything happening, I have been MIA for a week or two, and I apologize for that. But, things get crazy, with having a wife and kids, and just the holidays in general. So as such, again, I'm sorry it's taken a couple weeks for me to get God build out, but here we go. And let's get right into it, shall we? This week we are bringing to the table Odin the All-Father for patch 3.24. This is the final patch of Season 3, as it's leading into Worlds, or the World Championships for Smite, coming, I think, next week, actually, at the beginning of the new year. He fills the role of warrior for the Norse Pantheon and is one of the most surprisingly burst damage gods in the game, especially since he's a warrior, considering warriors are usually considered a little bit tankier front lines, not as much as a guardian in terms of crowd control and everything, but not the amount of damage that Odin can freaking dish out. You should be afraid. This video is intended for those just starting out playing Odin, those who need a refresher with the god, or those who find themselves going toe-to-toe with an Odin and just don't understand how he can bird bomb the crap out of your health bar, or even worse, don't even see him coming, and boom, you are friggin' gone. We will start out with his abilities, or kit as I call them, then go over the relics and item build, and finish off with the ability combos and fighting scenarios for Odin. If you liked the video, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for future Smite guides. Also, feel free to leave a comment below requesting any future gods or just to say hello for the hell of it. Yes, I stuttered a little bit. Also, I've set up an Xbox One clan called Victis, and is open to anyone to join if they like. The spelling will probably be below in the description. I'm a little bit rushing this, I don't know why, and I apologize if I am mumbling the hell out of this. So let's get into those abilities. Now before we get started, I have to go over a little housekeeping that I have for every video, that I'm sure you know what the hell I'm going to talk about if you've seen my other god guides on this channel. I play with the Savage layout on the Xbox One, which may look different from what you're playing with if you stuck with the default button mapping. Also, the PS4 has different buttons altogether. It's shapes instead of letters, and the PC and Mac, different UI, straight up. So as such, from now on, I'll be calling out his abilities as 1, 2, 3, and 4, with the 1 ability all the way over to the left, and the 4, or ultimate, being on the right. Hopefully calling him out as such will clear up any possible confusion later on in the video. And now let's do this. I'm going to start out with his passive, which is called Path to Valhalla. It's applied to just himself, like most passives in the game, and he's empowered as he escorts fallen warriors to Valhalla. Whenever any god dies on the battleground, Odin gains a bonus to movement speed and power. This effect can stack up to 5 times. So, what that means, whether an ally or an enemy god dies, Odin gains 8% movement speed and 8% power for 8 seconds. 8's across the board, apparently, right there. That can stack up to 5 times. So, in the span of 8 seconds, potentially, if there's 5 kills, you could potentially get 40% movement speed and 40% power. For however, 40 seconds, potentially, if you're able to get that death within the 8-second duration. I assume it refreshes every time there's a god death. It does not say that, though that could be wrong, but I'm going to assume it can be. So up to 40 seconds, 40% movement speed, 40% power. That's huge. Definitely huge. Depending on how you play Odin and what role you play him in. His first ability is called Lunge. It's a leap. It has a radius of 20 units. And it's pretty straightforward. He lunges to the target location, doing damage to all nearby enemies within that radius. Now, at max rank, it does 300 damage plus 70% of your physical power. That's a good, his scaling is pretty decent for the first 2 abilities here. It is a leap, so when you're going against an Wheelish, be wary, okay? Because she will pluck you out of the friggin' sky. And if you were a Wheelish going against an Odin, just wait for him to set up his combo, his main combo, which I'll go over here in a few moments in the video, and you can just melt him. Now, his main combo, which like I said, I'll go over, it combines his 1 and his 2, and I'll go over that in a little bit. And when we do that, it's called a bird bomb. And I'm sure you've heard that term before from somebody else, a streamer or a pro player, and myself, you know, a bird bomb, and it's his damage dealing combo. It's ridiculous. Anyway, his 2, Odin summons a flock, or it's called Raven Shout, a flock of ravens that create a shield around him. The shield expires, it explodes outwards, dealing damage to nearby enemies based on how much health it had remaining. So if the shield is at full health, it deals additional bonus damage. The shield will not expire while Odin is using lunge, and will always detonate upon landing. So what does that mean? You pop your 2, and then you immediately pop your 1. You don't get the full effect of 4 seconds for your shield. Now say you pop your 2, you wait 3 seconds, then you lunge. That's probably your most effective time scenario for the quote unquote bird bomb. If and it doesn't say there's any scaling, it just says if it's full health, you get that bonus damage. So you get 25% bonus damage if nobody hits you after you've popped Raven Shout. Now at max rank, it does 400 damage, more than lunge, plus 60% of your physical power. So it does a little bit more base damage and has a little bit less scaling. So I'd say maybe, depending on what your build is 1 and his 2 could potentially be about the same amount of damage. His 3 is called Gungnir's Smite. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Who knows? Odin does a sweeping spear attack that hits twice, dealing damage and slowing all enemies around him on the first hit. It does 20 unit radius, same amount of radius or radii, whatever, as his 1. It does 95 damage per hit, so 190 damage if you hit with both of them, plus an additional 30% of his physical power, and slows at max rank 40% across the entire board, but max rank length of 2.8 seconds, just shy of 3 seconds. Now that's a long time. That in essence is a Frostbound Hammer built into this kit. Obviously, Frostbound Hammer refreshes a hell of a lot more than this Gungnir's Might does. But you could forego that item if you wish. And now again, I will go over that here in the next section when I go over his item build. His ultimate is a wall of sorts. It's a ring of spears. Gone against an Odin, you know. You just know. So, Odin summons a wall of spears that blocks his enemy's movement, but Odin and his allies may move freely through it. Now, this was not always the case. Odin was severely limited and or crippled, however you want to pronounce it, because before, if Odin threw down his ring of spears, he could not get out of it himself. So essentially he would lock himself in with the enemy. Now say you somehow drop the ring of spears around the entire friggin' team in a conquest match, that's 1v5 and you'll get melted. Thankfully, they freed it up so he can walk through and the allies can walk through. Made him much more viable when they implemented that. Anyway, it does not block attacks. Enemies inside the ring have their attack speed lowered and aren't able to heal at all. Odin is immune to slow and root effects while within his ring. Enemies that die inside the ring of spears, and this is huge, grant Odin a permanent bonus to physical power. This is a secondary passive. This actually was his passive before they implemented the new passive that I read a few minutes ago. So essentially, you pop the ring of spears, you kill somebody, and you get a stack, up to 10 stacks of 5 power. So that you can get an additional 50 power based on if you kill 10 enemies within the ring over the course of the match. Obviously, you're not going to kill 10 enemies at once because the max is 5v5. Anyway, attack speed reduction, what the hell is that word? Is 60% at max rank. Healing reduction 100% across the board. Odin is great against healers for this reason alone. And it also forces people to buy a specific item when they go against an Odin. The duration is 6 seconds, no matter what, and the cooldown is 75 seconds, which isn't too long actually as a passive. You get full cooldown, and that's a pretty good cycle that you can just keep dropping those spears. So that's his kit. We'll go over the combos, the bird bomb scenarios here in a few minutes. First, we're going to go over the relics and item build, and we're going to mix it up a little bit. Or not mix it up, but I want to go over 2 possible builds. So let's make that segue right about now. Okay, so we've gone over, his kit and the scaling for his physical power is pretty good. 70 and 60% on his 1 and his 2. His 30% on his 3 is not bad, but his 3 is more of a kind of a setup or cleanup kind of ability that you need to use. It's more important maybe early game instead of late game. But anyway, we'll go over that later. The item build and the relics I'm going to be going over are primarily for conquest. They can be used for any game mode really, except for assault. Assault will always have a different type of item build because the straight up fact that in assault you cannot return to the fountain. So you have to think differently about how you go about your items. He is primarily played in the solo lane. He's a warrior. That is pretty much where they're pigeonholed to. I rarely play Odin in the solo lane. I play him as jungle. He is a great jungler. And you wouldn't think it, but he is. And so I will go over his solo build in the solo lane first, and then what items I would use in the jungle as well. I'll try not to make it too long, but we'll see how it plays out. So first we're going to go over his relics. Now, again, depending on if you play him in the solo in the jungle, the relics will change. Everything, and I can't stress this enough, I say that every video as well, everything is situational. Depending on your team comp and the enemy team comp, things may change about what order you build or what items you build altogether, and your relics. So if you're in the solo lane, you're probably pretty much going to have, 1 or 2 items. Wow, excuse me. Your first item is going to be either teleport, so you can get back to the solo lane quickly, because solo lane, the tier 1 tower is the furthest away out of all 3 lanes. Or you're going to go over here and grab Wrath. A lot of people late in the season 3 were picking up Wrath to get that jungle clear early, or even invade the enemy's jungle and steal their buffs and get to lane early, and so they would give them that little bit extra advantage. I still think, for most of your casual games or anything, unless you've got a really good team comp in your casual, you're running with a full squad or something, I would probably just go teleport. The jungler would probably pick up pick up Wrath. Wow, excuse me about that. Usually, so that segues into, as a jungler, I would pick up Wrath, because his jungle clear early is not that good. Not until he's almost 5 probably is he comfortably clearing jungle camps. So for SNGs, we're gonna put down that for his solo lane relic. Now his secondary relic it could be anything. It could be, I wouldn't suggest Curse, because his ultimate is better in terms of healing reduction. This only reduces 50% healing. His Ring of Spears does a full 100%, unless you want to chase him down. But then if you want to chase him down, I'd suggest Sprint, because Sprint negates any effects the enemy curses may have on you. You could also go just straight up Meditation, or even a Blink into your ultimate, etc., etc. Or purification, you know, depending on what they have for a team comp. More times than not, purification is always going to be in the back of your mind because everyone has some sort of crowd control in this game now. So that is up to you. I really don't know. I'm going to go with a purification just because it's probably going to need to be used. Again, situational. If they don't have a lot of CC on their team, which I may find very rare, or CC you're not really too worried about, I would go with a sprint, a blink, a meditation. Probably one of those. You could even go with a shell if that would help your team out. In the jungle role, I would stick with Wrath as the first relic, and the secondary relic, either a sprint, a blink, a frenzy doesn't hurt, and maybe even a Wrath. So, now we've gone over his relics. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing about it because I'm going over both roles. We're going to go into his item build. Now, in the solo lane, we'll solo lane first, and then we'll backtrack to the jungle. Solo lane, you're going to want to pick up Bluestone Pendant. Because I previously mentioned, his early game, wave clear, is to be desired. Is a nice way to put it. So Bluestone Pendant will give you 15 physical power, which is great. Give you a little bit extra mana, which you do need, but you'll most likely have the mana camp for a good chunk of the early game at the very least. But the passive is what really you need it for. Deals an additional 30% damage over 2 seconds, so 15 and 15. This will help you clear the lane. Those 30 damage will do just enough to help you clear. And then you'll get Bluestone Pendant, then you'll probably end up with tier 1 and tier 2 boots, I can't remember, and then some potions depending on how you feel, and or wards. Obviously though, once you're able to, you're going to want to pick up the physical power warrior tabby boots because of his scaling in his 1 and his 2. This will just help with that burst damage. And everyone gets 18% movement speed across the board. So let's pick those up. And then we're going to go into, most likely in the solo lane, it's another warrior. So a Breastplate of Valor will help out. It'll give you 75 protection against his attacks and stuff. Gives you extra mana, and it gives you that cooldown reduction to help you get your abilities up a lot quicker. I mean, this is pretty standard here. Now the next item is probably the last core item that you're gonna want to pick up. And I say that because this build here, except for save the starter item, but these three, the warrior tabby, the breastplate, and Jotun's Wrath, are probably what you're going to pick up in the jungle to begin with. Maybe breastplate would not be as desirable. We'll go over that in a few minutes. Jotun's Wrath gives you physical power, which is great for your scaling, more mana, gives you penetration, and it gives you the remainder of that cooldown reduction to cap you out at 40% reduction. So after that, these 4 items, including the starter item, are going to be your core items. You can use this for any match across the board, clash, arena, whatever. This will help you out. This will help you stay alive. This will help you do damage, and this will help you get the cooldowns on your abilities going that much quicker. So after that, depending on how your team comp is, how the enemy team comp is, you can go a couple ways. You can go a little bit more damage, or you could go a little bit more defense. Now, if you want a little bit more damage, you guys are you're up a little bit, and you want to just do that much more power, burst damage, and melt their health bar down. I would suggest going Titan's Bane. It gives you 30 physical power, which isn't a lot when you think about the items, but it also gives you 33% physical penetration. That's pretty good when you're jumping on people's faces. You could also potentially go Brawler's Beatstick because it gives you 20 pen, 40 physical power, but it also limits their healing abilities. Again, That's something I'd probably go with Odin, because you could just pop your ult if you really wanted to eliminate their ability to heal. Or you could go Frostbound Hammer, not as much physical power, it gives you a little bit of health, but it reduces their movement speed, which helps you chase them down. More often than not, Titan's Bane is what I would pick up if I was going the damage route, and I just hit the mic, I'm sorry. And then, you know, you could go into another damaging ability, or you could pick up Brawlers, if you want to get some lifesteal for whatever reason, or you could go and pick up, excuse me, Bulwark of Hope, gives you CC reduction, it gives you a little extra shield, or you could go Mantle of Discord. I wouldn't go Mantle of Discord though, because you're going to overcap your CC. If you wanted to go one of these robes, I would probably go... that's overcapped too, isn't it? Hide of the Urchin, maybe? Or Magi's Blessing. That way you're not losing your you know, that money, essentially. You could maybe go Mantle of Discord instead of Breastplate of Valor altogether, because it gives you physical protections, both magical and physical. But I would probably go Bulwark at the very latest. So this build here, oh actually, is not complete because I forgot to sell that final item. So at this point, it is up for grabs because you could go with whatever you like. I would suggest, again, this is all situational. I mean, this is like a smorgasbord of options here. You could go Brawlers, you could go Stone Cutters to get a little bit more movement speed to go with your passive too as well, or you could hit up a crit, you know, for when you don't, you know, melt them down with your Bird Bomb. I might even just go Frostbound just to do a little bit of troll. This is completely up to you. You can go straight up physical. You can add Magi's Blessing or something, Hide of the Urchin or something like that. Completely up to you what you guys want for that last item. It's up in the air. It's depending upon the team comp you're going against. This item build right here though would probably do you well. Now we're going to sell all these and show you what I would run in the jungle. Again, sell these down here. Oh, look at that, I can. Alright. I haven't left technically, so. So, in the jungle, I would pick up Bumba's Mask. Straight up standard jungle. Because, especially since his early lane clear is pretty, pretty crap. His jungle clear is pretty crap too. I'd pick up Bumba's because it gives you true damage against jungle camps, and it heals you as well, and you don't lose out on gold when you're sharing the camps. And you should always be sharing the camps as a jungler. And then I would go back into Warrior Tabby. I would go probably into Jotuns first. And then after that, depending on why can't I figure things out? You know, maybe go into Breastplate of Valor if you need it. And I probably would, just for SMGs. If you're really ahead, go into Mantle of Discord. Or skip it and go into something else. Now, I usually, as a jungler, do something a little bit different than the norm. I go with an attack speed. Actually, no, I don't. What the hell am I talking about? I go back into Titan's Bane. Where is it? Yes, see? I want that damage. I want that burst. And that's what I want. And then I go into maybe an Aussie because there'll be times where I jump in, at this point it's mid to late game. It's probably late game at this point. So I get the the health, the lifesteal, just to help out. I mean, it gives you a little bit of penetration and also gives you some lifesteal on attack speed. And then I would sell this and I would probably pick up Stone Cutters. Because the basic attacks from your melee decreases their physical protections and increases yours. And I completely forgot the relics. Wrath, and then as a second one, you go Purification, Sprint, or Blink, like I said. We'll just put that there. Okay, so this, real quick, real dirty. Bumbas, which I already sold. Warrior Tabby, Jotuns, Breastplate, Titan's Bane, Aussie. You could go into Bloodforge if you want instead of the Aussie, just to get that extra physical power. It's an option, but I like the Aussie because it gives you the attack speed as well as some penetration, and that will go in conjunction with the Stonegunner Sword passive. This should do a lot of damage. You could throw anything else in there. If you don't want Stonecutters and you want a crit, go for it. You know, it's all up to you. There's no right or wrong way to build him, potentially, but with his scaling and with his bird bombing, you want to be just wary of trying to stack physical power to get that initial burst. I've talked way too long about this section, so we're going to just, at this point, segue into the combos and whatnot. Alright, so I kind of talked a little bit too much last section, so I'm going to try to do this a little bit quicker, not to make this video way too long. I still got my jungle build going, so we'll just go with that. So we're going to go over here to Odin squared. Hello guys, is this confusing enough with these two guys and then myself? So I guess we're Odin cubed right now, and we'll do a little bit of a jump for that. Anyway, so see, I hit, you know, with the Aussie, I'm hitting a little bit faster than I normally would. I'm doing a decent amount of damage straight to the board. Of course, they're level 1, so obviously I'm going to do a lot of damage. Let's just go over his ability, his kit right here. His 1, you know, I can lunge right on myself or as far away as I can, and it's got a pretty decent radius. And as you can see, boom, that's what it does. It looks like I had a secondary hit there. And then his bird bomb, which is an instant cast essentially, puts the birds on me like that. Not the Raven Shout. You can see I had that radius there. Any gods within that radius would have been hit. And I'm just gonna actually walk over here now. You can see that, and then boom, 620. That's not too bad. Not too bad. His 3 is not an instant cast, and just gotta get close enough that would slow him, and then chase him down. And then his ultimate, I'm actually going to hold off because I'm going to actually use his ultimate while I kill Ra over there, and so you can see the passive stack on my little passive meter there to the left in between my relics and my health bar. Now, the bird bomb is pretty much his combo. That's pretty much it. Now, you can use it one of two ways, whether you're in the solo lane or in the jungle. In the solo lane, it's going to be much more visible because you're going to be facing the other solo laner. In the jungle, you might want to hide a little bit so they can't particularly see you. Either way, you're going to want to pop his 2 and then his 1 to get the combo down. It's not that simple, not that difficult. 2, 1, go. Boom, you do like 1,000 damage right there. And then everything else that happens thereafter. Now, again, you can also do it over walls because it's a leap. And actually, I'll do it from this side over here. Can we see him? I think he's about right there. So we're going to pop this and then go over. Boom. And that's how you initiate as a jungler when you're Odin. You hide. You kind of get the call out, hey, I'm going to gank. Or they want you to gank. And you kind of, just hide. And you see they're visible because there's wards where the enemy, your ally can see the enemy. And then you're like, okay, I know they're right there. Shit on them, okay? And that's right there is why going up against an Odin can be stressful. Because if you don't know where Odin is, you will literally drop out of the sky and shit on your chest. Unless you're into that. Most people aren't into that. You don't want it to happen. Now, his 3, you can either use as initiation or as a follow-up. Now, as a follow-up, we're going to jungle in here again, and then slow them, and then if they're still alive, they're getting chunked down at this point. Now, if you're in the solo lane and you're going toe to toe, and the other warrior's like, ah, hitting you back, Gungir's Might, and then boom, get that burst. See, the Gungnir's, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, will slow them down with that first hit. So make sure that first hit gets hit on the enemy. Okay, that sentence was weird. So that slow will be applied, and then will allow you to get your bird bomb in there a little bit easier. And I mean, if that's a lot of damage right there. Let me get some more mana here. Hold on. And then, straight up, you know... Actually, you know, can I sell this? No, I cannot, because I left. Alright. So what we're going to do now is we're going to kill that Odin, and we're going to use it with the Ring of Spears. Now, I think it's not an instant cast. Here's the Ring of Spears. You can see it right there around me. That is the radius in which the ring will be. And if they're inside the ring, they'll be highlighted. I don't know how exactly they're inside the ring, but they are. So, it's not instant cast like the two. I'm going to probably pop the ring down because I might melt this guy otherwise. And I want that passive stack. So we're gonna walk up. And we're gonna drop the stack. And then we're gonna hit that. And then we're gonna hit that. And then just finish him off in time, and there, we got a passive. See that stack? Let's run away before he respawns and tries to chase me down. So now you can see that rune, essentially. It looks like an N or slanted H over there. Different than each stack will have a different rune as well. So they're not all the same. You can have up to 10 arched around the top there and give you 50 additional power. And then just, oh, bird bomb again. So, that's pretty much in a nutshell. And as you can look over there to my ultimate already, my Ring of Spears is already off cooldown right now. Boom. That is a quick cooldown. I barely had time to finish describing what the hell just happened. That's it. That is his combo. 2, 1, and then, 3 and his ultimate, in there. Try to always get kills in your Ring of Spears to get those passive stacked, especially early game. If you're ganking, make sure you get them in that Ring of Spears. Period. If you're, toe-to-toe, Ring of Spears. Going against the healer, Ring of Spears. And then bird bomb, bird bomb, bird bomb. So, the order in which you want to rank up your abilities, it's pretty simple. Now, I always go, first level 1, I go Raven Shout because it'll help you in clearing that wave. It'll just give you that little bit extra. Not wave, the jungle camps or the wave shield, so you're not getting damaged. Then into his 1, or you can do 1 and 2 depending on your playstyle. And so, essentially, what it is that you want to do is, depending on your playstyle, I suggest, no matter what, rank up his 2 first, followed by his 1. And then his 3 whenever you have to put it in there, and the same with his ultimate. Always get his 2, then his 1, 3, or ultimate. I mean, the ultimate doesn't really, it just reduces the attack speed of the enemies, so it's not really that big a deal. So I would prioritize his 3 over his ultimate whenever possible. 2, 1, 3, 4. That is the order to rank up his kit, and you will melt health bars and frustrate the hell out of your enemy and just bird bomb central. Anyway, I hope this video helped. If it did, please leave a thumbs up and or subscribe to the channel for future God content. Leave a comment below whether you think I freaking talk too much or whether you think I was helpful as all hell. I really appreciate you guys coming. We get a fair amount of views in terms of me being a small, content creator, I guess we'll call myself. And just really hoping it's helping some people. Anyway, as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.